Hello, families and caregivers at Preston Middle School. I'm Mrs. Decker, one of the sixth grade English teachers. And the team of sixth grade English teachers and we wanted to share some goals with you this year that we have to help you help your student with rebooting and launching and even sustaining their independent reading lives. We want those reading lives to be healthy and vibrant as they are home starting the remote learning process. So we thought we'd take a few minutes to share with you 5 tips that we have to support your learners at home. The first one is reading volume. We know that research supports that if readers read for 90 minutes a day across content areas, that means beyond just English class, that they are more likely to stay on grade level. This helps the student in school, in English, and in all subject areas. So, a couple things that you could help them think about. Do they have a learning or reading spot that works? Is it irresistible, and does it protect the conditions that make it that way? Are there lights, background noises that would be either non-existent or not distracting? Help them find a space that they're excited to read in. Number 2, engagement. Engagement and monitoring their engagement with reading is important. We really know that the thinking work we are doing together in class, in English class, is going to be something that we hope transfers to digital texts when they're watching something with you and their own independent reading as well. And we want to watch for warning signs when the engagement dips. So if you notice your student having some difficulty reading, maybe they're avoiding their independent reading, or they're saying things like, I just don't like it, I don't like to read, then help them foster that independence by encouraging them to reach out to their English teacher. And also, you could just advocate for them and reach out to us as well. We want them to have access to books so that their engagement stays high also. So a few different things that we've really wanted to make sure are available this year are to reach out to your English teacher if we can help provide or send or get some books ready for picking up at some point this fall from Preston. If they have a library card, they can use that for digital books, including Hoopla and Libby and Epic Reads as well. We will have an account for students. The English teachers and I have created a digital bookshelf for 6th grade English. That does not mean these are required texts. In fact, it is a very large collection that we'll continue to add to of books that are either PDFs that we have permission to share or titles that students could check out from the library digitally through some of those apps. And it has some instructions for that. So we'll be sharing that with your student in the first few weeks of school. So we've talked about volume and engagement. Here's the third tip, thinking about identity. We want students to consider what genres and authors and series of books and formats they love to read. And if they love graphic novels, we still will encourage them to read those, but we want them to continue to grow into their skills with that genre. And luckily, there are some wonderful graphic novels and all sorts of other genres available to readers of many levels. So continue to encourage them to read what they love, but to also challenge themselves to get more complex with their texts. And it's important to know like what we have an allegiance to with certain books or series. Anytime a book by a certain author comes out, like there's a new Frederick Bachman book coming out, I already can't wait to get my hands on it, and I have no idea what it's about. I just love the author. And it's okay for students to feel that way too. And it's also great for us to encourage them to sometimes step out of their comfort zone and try something different. The fourth thing that goes kind of along with identity as well is that we're really encouraging students this year to consider the books that they're reading and the someday list of books in the terms of what we call mirrors and windows. So in order to really continue to reflect on, be proud of, and learn more about different identities in the world, that includes cultural identities, racial identities, religious identities, gender identities. We want students to have access to books that are mirrors. In other words, books that are texts that affirm who they are and allow them to see themselves and characters. And we also want them to have access to books that are windows. So those are texts that offer a window or a perspective into humanity beyond their own. That can be an important aspect, and it can also be one that they continue to grow with as they get older. So we just want to encourage that we're thinking about how often we're reading texts that have a variety of opportunities for windows and mirrors. And then here's the fifth one, writing about reading. So we all get better at things that we care about when we practice it. Making sure that when we practice reading, we're still stopping and writing about it occasionally is important, but that might look different than other types of writing. So writing about reading can sometimes be very short, like jotting a thought on a sticky note, or pausing and marking a page and a page number and a thought that they have in their reader's notebook. It doesn't always have to be an end of chapter summary to prove that they read something. Here's the big goal. We really want to broaden our idea of what writing about reading looks like, and that it's not just to prove they did it. It's really, the goal is to capture their good thinking about their reading while it's still hot. So to recap, 5 tips as we start this very memorable school year. 1, volume and how much students are reading. I always say as much as humanly possible, along with many of teacher friends of mine. But we also want to encourage at least 30 minutes a day of reading. But if they're asking you how much they should read, as much as humanly possible. 2, engagement and access to books will continue to be really important. 3, identity, who they are as people. 4, reading identity and making sure we have windows and mirrors, books available. And then 5, writing about reading. So we want thinkers. We don't necessarily teach what to think, but we want them to know how to deepen their thinking and support their thinking with evidence and revise their thinking in light of new evidence, and ultimately share their thinking with the world. So thank you for partnering with us this year, and I look forward to hearing from you at any point if you'd like support with supporting our independent readers at home. Thanks. One last end credit and special thank you to Lucy Calkins and Lori Burke and their colleagues at TCRWP for the work that you're doing and that we've gathered ideas from, and also Poudre School District for supporting this important work.